Many thanks for joining us, dear viewers. This is our weekly program, Diplomacy. I'm Mulkaba Mobile hosting and producing the program for you. Have a beautiful time with our program till the end. My guest today is Dr. Aregawi Berhe. Dr. Aregawi Berhe is one of the founders of TPLF and now head of the Tigray Democratic Coalition Party and also appointed as the Director General for the public participation on the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. Doctor, many thanks for joining me and welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, to begin with, the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam, since the project is a self-finance from the Ethiopians to the Ethiopian people, how is the public participation, especially after the first feeling of operation is successfully accomplished, how is the public participation going on?
As you mentioned, the Renaissance Dam has started through the participation of the people in the first place. And now it's going well, I would say. However, it was not well administered in the previous regime, TPLF, EPRDF. Since the change in of regime in Ethiopia, the new PP-led government is really working hard to correct all past mistakes associated with the administration of the construction of this dam, and it has reached a stage which is very promising and very satisfying to the people. So this has initiated the people of Ethiopia by and large, and they are contributing more than ever, I would say, to the completion of this dam. And hopefully we are planning to mobilize the entire people of Ethiopia, inside and outside the country, to take their share in the completion of this dam. And a lot of factors are also helping us to accomplish this.
What's going on or planned in your office, the office that you are now appointed as the Director General? What's planned to mobilize the public at large in order to construct or in order to finish the construction of the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam project?
Yeah, the grand strategy is mobilizing the people to participate in the construction project, and people want to participate also because it's mass-based, and our strategy is bottom up rather than bottom down, which means we have to mobilize the people at grassroots level. All sectors of society would be mobilized. This is the strategy of the Bureau of Organizing Society, and this approach will help us also to bring together Ethiopians to solve their chronic problem in the first place, which is hunger and food insecurity. This has been one of the big problems. And by electrifying our country, we could also transform the industrial sector of our country together with the agricultural sector. So with this as aim, we are heading towards mobilizing the whole people to have a share in the construction of this dam. Anybody, any Ethiopian would be participating according to our plans.
Since the beginning of the construction of the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam in the 2011 and 2012, Ethiopia, Sudan and Egypt are on the table to reach on some agreement, but still failed to produce any tangible results. Why this, and what's your comment right here?
Yeah, they have been negotiating for for the last 5 or 6 years, I would say. But the Egyptians are greedy in this negotiating puzzle because they have been using the Nile waters ever since time immemorial, and they were using it unilaterally. And when the British came to Egypt and to Sudan, they started to negotiate with the British and with the Sudanese only. So Ethiopia had no say on its own water, on its own property, and they wanted to continue in that fashion, which is unacceptable to any conscious Ethiopian. So this challenge is, a game changer, and they put every obstacle towards Ethiopia from having its own fair share. Ethiopia is demanding a fair share, not excessive share or extra demand. It's demanding a fair share, equitable share, a win-win approach. But the Egyptians, I would say, they are so greedy in their approach, and they want to maintain the old status quo, which is totally unacceptable by Ethiopia and by Ethiopians at large. So this is one of the obstacles why the negotiation is not progressing.
Well, coming to the political parties, contesting political parties of Ethiopia, what would be their role in succeeding the GERD project to this end?
The opposition forces have an umbrella organization that unifies all of them, and in their as a principle, they want to bring their people and their country's interests at the top of the agenda, of their own agendas. So, based on this principle, they are forging different tactics to cooperate with the Bureau of all bureaus which are related to the GERD. And recently they have been discussing a lot of issues, especially how they could come together, forge plans to promote the interests of their country and their people. And I'm sure they are doing that. They are reaching a consensus on this aspect, and this will trickle down to the plans set in the GERD. And they will have a big contribution in mobilizing the people toward gearing towards the solution of the construction of the dam.
Well, what's expected from the government of Ethiopia, the Ethiopian people at large, in order to successfully accomplish the project? What's expected from all at this time? If you have any general message as the Director General from Office of the Construction of the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam public participation, what's expected from the larger public and the government of Ethiopia?
The government of Ethiopia is spearheading all the challenges, fighting the challenges associated with the GERD. And they are doing their best in solving the problem, be it on the diplomatic front, or on the political front, or on the economic front. So it's the government which is at the center of the issue related with the GERD. Especially the diplomatic puzzles are so stringent that the government is fully occupied in this manner through the foreign ministry and other related departments like the water and energy department. And we are also contributing by mobilizing the people inside and outside the country to add, to incur some diplomatic pressures on governments which are opposed to Ethiopia's interests. This way, we think we will do a lot. And the public at large has a lot to do with this campaign. Strategically, we are offering people to organize and mobilize themselves throughout the country and incur all necessary things in the completion of this dam. Besides, they could also work on public diplomacy. Wherever Ethiopians are, they can be diplomats for their own country and influence other countries or countries which are opposed to or countries standing on the side of Egypt and so on. So as I said earlier, we are opting a fair, equitable distribution of the power, of the water, which is a legitimate issue. So both government and the public are really coming together on this issue, and this will enhance the unity of the country as well. It will undermine the cry of secessionist forces like the old TPLF leaders who are opting for secession now and then. The unity which is being emboldened as a result of the construction of the dam will undermine such parochial issues which the TPLF leaders are seeming to push to its limit.
Well, coming to the nowadays international media agendas, Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, has forwarded a controversial comment on the Grand Ethiopia Renaissance Dam project, as Egypt can blow up the dam. He suggested like that. And what's your comment here?
Well, President Donald Trump is well known for his outlandish comments on every aspect, not only on this dam, but also on other issues like on women's issue, on the Republic, on the Democratic Party. Raise any issue, Trump will just say something which is not really compatible with an international figure like President of America. He's supposed to influence the world because he's a leader of a superpower. But he's not at that level, I would say. Sometimes what he says is childish. So regarding the dam, he has said, and he has said it arrogantly, that his proposal of agreement has to be accepted by the parties involved in the GERD. This is not acceptable, The GERD belongs to us in the first place, and then to Egypt and Sudan as junior partners in the dam we are building. And we are building it not to be mean and selfish like the Egyptians. We consider the need, the requirements of the Sudanese people who have been nice to us all the way through and through, and the Egyptians which are always at loggerheads with the Ethiopian ambition. They have been fighting against us since the 6th century. There were so many battles around the Red Sea against Ethiopians. The aim being to subdue Ethiopian political elite and then control the source of the Nile. This has failed miserably several times. And with this mentality, they still want to continue this issue. And of course, nowadays Ethiopians are conscious of their interests and they are determined to challenge all sorts of hackles which are coming from Egypt. And when it comes to President Trump, it's amazing that he arrogantly tries to impose his own views on sovereign and independent countries. And in fact, to his surprise, these statements have initiated a wave of interest among Ethiopians, and Ethiopians are now determined to fight it back with not only verbally but also materially as well. So I would say Trump's statement has only increased the level of participation of our people.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is using it is all power, including the World Bank, to pressure Ethiopia in order to sign the agreement that Ethiopia is not believing on. Do you think that the president's comment can have its own impact, or it is negative impact on the construction of the dam?
I don't think so, because construction of the dam has started with the material and human capacity of Ethiopia itself. So from the start there was no outside support to the construction of the dam. And there is a determination on the part of the government and the people to complete it in this manner. Of course, we would wish to get any type of support, be it from the World Bank, which is an international organization supposed to contribute something in any other development projects. But because of the Egyptian diplomatic campaign, they have tried to impose it on the Americans, and the Americans impose their will on the World Bank. So the World Bank is restraining itself from supporting Ethiopia. However, they should know that we started this dam unilaterally and through the participation of the people, and we are determined to complete it through the support of our people.
Well, many people are saying that the Ethiopia's response for the president's comment is not as strong as it should be. Do you agree? And what's your comment about the Ethiopia's response for the Donald J. Trump's comments?
Well, as I mentioned it earlier, Donald Trump's statement is simply a statement which doesn't hold water. I mean, it's just a statement which comes out from a leader who is used to such statements. So I don't think it will have an impact on the construction of the dam, because the construction of the dam is based locally through the participation of the people of Ethiopia. So any support is welcome if it comes. Otherwise, people of Ethiopia are determined to complete this dam, and development is of within these 2 years since the new Dr. Abiy's regime came to power. A lot of things have been corrected, which were very retarding the development of the dam, and at this pace, I think so far we have come through the participation of our people, and from now on it will be through the participation of our people, which is already emboldened by the statements of Trump.
In the first place, why Egypt want to internationalize the negotiation while the African Union, AU can chair and facilitate the negotiation in a peaceful way?
Yeah, Egypt is had good relations with the Americans because of the geopolitics in the Middle East. The Americans favor Egypt because Egyptians would participate in America's war against terrorism and so on. And also the Egyptians are also in good terms with the Egyptians, with the Israelis, which is another factor which the Americans want it to be. So a combination of factors helps Egypt in the diplomatic front. But it's not fair, it's not correct the way the Americans and the Egyptians are pushing with regards to the dam Ethiopia is building. Of course, African countries are aware of this fact, of this unfair intrusion of the Americans and the Egyptians. Besides, not only Africans, all peace-loving countries which experience such unfair distribution of water, directly or indirectly, are aware that Ethiopia should have its own fair share. So there is a wider participation of countries, of institutions which support, which could stand on the side of Ethiopia, because simply because they want Ethiopia to have its own fair share. So now there is a balance of diplomatic push and pull, and this stalemate, I'm sure, will be tilting towards Ethiopia in the near future.
As a general, what's your suggestion for Ethiopia, Egypt and Sudan in order to peacefully complete the negotiation on the dam?
First and foremost, it concerns these three countries. The issue of the Nile water concerns these three countries, not any other country, local, near or far. So it's up to them to sit around the table and discuss it fairly, openly, and with rational mind, looking forward how an integration could be created among these three countries. If they can think very well, I think they can use the Nile water efficiently and spur all sorts of development in the agricultural sector as well as in the industrial sector. They could have regional projects related with the Nile water, and this could be mutually beneficial for three of them. So it's up to them to think rationally and propose a win-win solution. This way, I think if they think in this framework, a lot can be achieved.
Well, coming to your party questions, following the call made by Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed in 2018, all descendant political parties, including your political party, has come back to Ethiopia and landed Ethiopia. What's your overall look and comments after the 2018 Dr. Abiy Ahmed has took office?
Oh, there is a lot of development, be it in the political front or in the administration of the country. To my understanding, some people call it's a reform, but for me it's more than a reform, because a lot of old approaches, old methods of work, political, are totally changed. You remember there are so many restricting laws and regulations based on anti-terrorist law, anti-freedom of speech law. So many, these are gone. Now people have the right to assemble, the right to organize themselves in parties or in civic society movements. They are free. It's up to us now, up to the people, to use and utilize these rights. If we fail to do something, it's only because we haven't used or utilized the rights which are given by the change that was led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. So, to me, that's why, in fact, I came from exile. I was a political exile for over 28 years, 30 years almost. Now, since I came, I see a lot of change happening. Of course, this doesn't mean everything is smooth. There are elements who oppose the reform, who oppose the change, and who, as we see it today, want to get us back to the old system. One of them is the TPLF and its allies, which are found in every region. But such things happen when there is a reform or when there is a change. And the future is for the people. The Ethiopian people have suffered a lot in all fronts. In the political front, our political culture is very low. In the economic front, we are one of the poorest countries in the world. Now this has to change, and this can change through the participation of the people. But people have to be organized. Only organized civil society can influence the political society. Together, they can move forward, and we are in this path. We need to strengthen it.
Dr. Aregawi Berhe, you are an author of a book called The History of Tigray People's Liberation Front, a political history of Tigray Liberation Front, TPLF, right? Yeah. So that what is the main theme of that book, and what about the book narrates on?
The title of the book is, as you mentioned, is the political history of the TPLF, 1975 to 91 through the Gregorian calendar, and 1967 to 83 the Ethiopian calendar. It also touches on revolt, ideology, and mobilization in Ethiopia. And this book was published some years back, But now it's translated into Amharic so that ordinary Ethiopians can read it. And there is a book signing to take place in the Hilton Hotel on Sunday in the afternoon, 2 p.m. And you're also invited to attend this signing ceremony. There will be a lively discussion because a lot of critics, professors, doctors, political scientists are also invited to participate in the discussion, their assessment of the book and so on. So I hope it will be an interesting discussion and it will contribute to changing our political culture, which was a bit backward before this time. So there will be an open discussion and you're most welcome.
Well, many people, including the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia's government and others, are accusing the Tigray People's Liberation Front (TPLF) for the current turmoil happened in different parts of the country, in different times in this country. Do you agree? If you agree, what's your comment?
Yes, I do agree because the TPLF, since it was pushed from power, it has evacuated all its belongings and it has run away into Tigray, and they have entrenched themselves in Mekelle. But sitting there, they haven't accepted their failure, a failure which was clearly visible in the last 27 years when they were in power. And from there, they are trying to undermine the change, trying to undermine the government in power, which is pro-change. They are against change. The government and people like our party are for the change. So what they are doing now is to undermine the government of Dr. Abiy Ahmed. They are contacting and advising, supporting, training any opposition element throughout the country. So these guys are trying to undermine the change and the actors of the change by creating a dissonance around Ethiopia. Not only that, they are training also. They are giving training. They are financing. They are arming all these forces to undermine the government in power. And recently, they have even conducted a local election, a Kilil election, regional election, which was totally against the constitution of the country. It violates Article 102, which says that any election in the country has to be conducted through the auspices of the election board, the Ethiopian election board. So, following that, the Federation Council has condemned the acts of the government, and they have advised them to get restrained. So this is what's happening from the old leaders of the TPLF, and I'm sure they will not succeed.
If this all is known and a legal activity, why the government of Ethiopia is failed or wouldn't take any corrective measure upon those guys?
Well, the government is moving cautiously, and I mean, it had all the strength and power to to take measures, to take military measures. But they don't want to take military measures. They want to settle it peacefully. That's why they are giving it time. And you know, if you go to war, if the government goes to war, it's the people which would suffer, not the leaders. The leaders will escape to any place where they have dumped a lot of wealth outside the country. So the government is well aware of this fact, and they are trying to settle it peacefully. Of course, a peace settlement through negotiation requires, you know, two actors, but the other side is not acting accordingly. So we are waiting to see if this approach works.
Yeah, what kind of political system that you suggest for the people in country like Ethiopia?
Oh, yeah. A federal system is the most viable system of governance, which would keep the unity of the country, which would also accommodate all ethnic-based regions, which was polarized in the last reign of TPLF. I mean, we cannot go back to the old system of unitary systems, because already now it's polarized politically. So a federal system is the most viable system that fits the present situation of Ethiopia.
Well, it will be greater if you share me about your party's preparation regarding to the coming Ethiopian general election.
Oh, of course, there should be an election in Ethiopia, but it has to be free and fair election, not like the past elections. I consider the past elections a mere joke, a semblance of election, not real election. Real election needs the participation of the people, free participation of the people. They have to be free to choose whatever they want. That is meaningful election. Second, opposition forces has to participate freely to reach out their people and bring to the front their programs and positions, whereby people can see which program is desirable. But there was no such situation in the past elections. The media, if you take the media was, the media was exercising its job through, tuned by the EPRDF government, the TPLF-PRDF government. Any media outlet which seems to be challenging the government was put into silence, forcefully. So there has to be a free and fair election. Now, when we think of Tigray, because we are trying to represent the people of Tigray, and the name of our party is called Tigray Democratic Party, TDP. We had a problem participating and moving inside Tigray. The TPLF, because it's nature to be domineering, they don't want us to move around Tigray and mobilize our people. So we are operating, our head office is now in Addis, which should have been in Mekelle. So under these circumstances, we don't think an election is possible. There are also some cases around the country, conflicts and so on. So this has to be settled. These are preconditions, you know, peaceful environment and freedom of mobility, freedom of the media, observers, and so on. when these things are put into place, then we can go for election. So this is our approach towards election in Ethiopia.
Dr. Aregawi, I'm almost done with my questions. If you have a general message for the people and government of Ethiopia, you are highly welcomed.
The government of Ethiopia is a government of change, a change for the betterment of our people, a change of cultural attitudes, a change of economic development and progress. So this government needs to be supported. Critical support from any opposition is necessary. Critical support because we are in a transition. So the government cannot be perfect under Ethiopia's political history, under current situations also, which are at the edge of so many challenges. I would say the government has to be open-minded to address all the concerns of the people in Ethiopia and try to respond correctly, and they have to be at the top of the time. Time is an essence in this transition process. If you let things to go by themselves, then we might end up in a crisis. So the government needs to act properly, act on time on issues related to the peace of the country. On the other hand, the people have to be organized at all levels and encourage their support on one hand to the government, on the other hand challenge the government also to be effective. So the combination of an attentive government and a participation of the people together with effectively move forward cornering the path of change. Change is really what all the people of Ethiopia were crying for, and through the combination of the organization of civil societies and the political elite, on the other hand, a lot of things for the good of the people, for the good of the country can be accomplished. So let's participate on all levels.
Dr. Aregawi, thank you very much for your time and patience to have such a beautiful interview. Thank you.
Thank you for you also very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this will bring us to the end of this edition. I'm Aregawi Berhe hosting and producing the program for you. Have a beautiful time.